Okay, hello, SFA Field 2 or Field 1 students, and or if you're just a teacher who's trying to navigate virtual teaching in these crazy times, or if you are a virtual teacher. So today I'm going to be showing you some basic features of iMovie and how I use iMovie to make my teaching lessons that I did for when I student taught. So first of all, the app I use to record my videos is I use Photo Booth. It's going to pop up and show me looking not good. So I use Photo Booth, and I set the computer in front of me, and you hit the record button. You can choose other options if you'd like to film on your iPhone, or maybe you have a camera. As long as you can upload it to your computer, you are good. And just for preference, I am using a Mac. So once I get the footage I want, so we're just gonna go with this footage. I might drag it to my desktop. You don't have to do this, but it's easier for me. Now I am using iMovie 10.114 version. Just a disclaimer, this might look different if you're using iMovie on your phone. So what I would do is I would hit Create New, Movie, and now I'm in the project. Wherever you would like to drop your clips or whatever footage you want to use, you're just going to take your mouse or your finger if you're on your phone and drag it into this section. Now that we have, and I'm just going to mute it so you guys can hear me. Now that we have the footage here, the first thing I like to do is click on the footage just like this, and you know it's selected because it's yellow, and you want to make sure this little tool up here is the cropping tool. Most of the time, if you drop an image or a clip into iMovie, it's going to automatically put it on key burns. And I'll show you what that looks like. Key burns is simply, let me see if it's doing it, simply when the camera slowly zooms in and out, or it might pan the picture. If you find this annoying like me, that's just the first thing I do. I click on whatever clip or picture that I want, and I always hit fit. This is just going to make sure that your footage is full screen. Now another option is maybe if you have to kind of crop your footage a little, maybe you recorded something in the background you don't want in your picture, you're going to do crop to fill. And I'm going to use a photo for my crop to fill example. So this is a random photo, and you can put photos in the iMovie video. Putting photos in your iMovie video specifically for lessons, I think it's great instead of a picture card if you're trying to use a definition or if you want to capture your kids' attention with some quick info or directions. I love using a picture in the video for that. Now again, picture, probably want it to fit. But maybe I don't want it to look like this on my screen, or again, maybe you recorded something in your video that you don't want in there. You can always choose crop to fill. You're just going to move this box wherever you want to crop to fill. And that's what it's going to look like. So keep in mind there are limitations on how much you can crop. So the next thing I do that you should probably be concerned about is you can always film your lessons in parts. You can either film one long continuous clip, and what that means is you can push the record button and sit there and try to film all the different parts of your lessons, you know, the mini lesson, the directions, maybe the modeling, and just go back in later and edit those parts out, or you can film portions one by one. So let's say here's me starting my camera, as you can see. Now I wouldn't want that in my video lesson. So how you crop clips is you're going to wait for that little arrow to pop up, and you're going to drag. Notice this line. This line's always kind of telling you where the play is. I'm going to drag to where I want my video to start. Okay, so I have my video starting in a spot that I like. But let's say this singing part was just my engage. This is how I hooked the kids into my lesson. And I have other parts that I want. So I can trim this to be just that. And then I can put in different clips if I wish. Now, let's say that I'm just gonna use the same clip for the sake of demonstrating. Let's say this is a different clip, imagine that. Or let's just start in a different place. There you go, so you aren't confused. Let's say you can choose just to have it play into the next video. But if you don't want it choppy, you can always use the iMovie transitions. I find this to be great if I'm transitioning from teaching and modeling in my lesson to a directional guide on my screen. That's when I find it most effective. So you can choose from all of these transitions. I just personally think, hey, it's not about the transitions. You want it to look nice and neat when you're teaching, and you want the kids to be focused on what you're saying. Yes, how the video looks, but what you're saying. So sometimes I just choose something simple like a cross blur. And if you see, I just dragged it right in between the clips or the pictures I want. And it's gonna look like this. Okay. Now let's say you wanna put titles, or if you wanna differentiate for your learners, maybe you're teaching students who speak a different language than you. You can always put titles or words on your video, your pictures. And the same thing, you're gonna pick what you like, and you're just gonna drag it right above where you want it. And then this will pop up, and you can choose whatever you want to put in it. So let's just put singing lesson. And again, just noticing the things up here. I don't think you'll have trouble if you just play with this, because this is very similar to a document. And you can choose the font, even if you want. Okay, and the color. Let's say that you want to subtitle again, like you have students who are maybe speaking a different language and you want to subtitle a different language. Or let's say, something I like to do in my teaching videos a lot is maybe I'm saying follow these 3 steps to learn how to spot text features. Just to support the learner, especially if you're in younger grades, and to support their reading, I like to literally put, if I'm saying I want you to, I don't know, stop, look, read, I like those words to kind of scroll across the screen, and in my clip, I can literally point to air and be saying that and edit those in later. So for that, I like to use the scrolling credits. So that's what it would look like. And again, you can, mess with the length of how fast you want this to appear. You can mess with how you want it to look by selecting it. Okay. Another option that I like to add in to teaching lessons that can really engage the children are sound effects. So if you have an iTunes library, you can always choose a song. I wouldn't recommend that because sometimes words are distracting, and also you don't want to be using copyright material. So luckily, iMovie comes with sound effects already loaded in. So I'll turn my volume up for this. So let me just, I don't know. Maybe you're teaching your students about telling time. Or you can put this in, and again, notice how I just dragged it where I wanted to. I can drag it, I can shorten the amount, I can widen the amount, and then I can have that sound effect. Now sometimes that sound effect might be too loud over what you're verbally teaching. So if you just kind of scroll over it, you can decide how loud you want that. I like to typically use the clock tick. If you're working with younger elementary students, it's always fun to ask a question. I call it like Blue's Clues style. Like, can you tell me what the first thing mathematicians do? Or what's the first step mathematicians take when solving a problem? And then you could put that tick sound effect in there and encourage them to participate. Like, okay, I'm waiting for you to hear your answer. In your video shot, you might lean close. Like, hey, like, whisper in my ear. I'm waiting for you to answer. Trying to think what else. You could always use backgrounds. This isn't a tool I personally used in my teaching videos, but the concept of this is it's just like a green screen. So if you'd like to play with that, I'm not going to go too in depth to that because I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, see, now it's just making all kinds of chaos. I'll probably edit this out. Okay. Some other things that you can play with, some tools, is you can always play with, maybe you want your video in black and white, and this is just going to take some practice. Like, notice here's color, make it really saturated, here's black and white. So that's something you can play with as well. If you're filming on an iPhone or not using a tripod, maybe you're having someone hold the camera, this is a tool where you can just stabilize the video. It's not really going to let me do that because, again, I film with my laptop, so there is no movement. Okay. This sound feature is something I think is really important. This lowers and raises the volume of your clips. So if you happen to record your directions for your lesson and you think this is too quiet, instead of going back and giving yourself all that work, just turn the volume up and mess with it. Just mess with it. Lower volume of other clips. This is great if you're doing a sound effect. This will just automatically bring down the sound effect so that the students are just focusing on your voice. You can also play with the speed. You can make your video slow-mo. That's kind of funny. You can make it fast. You can make a freeze frame. Or you can make it a custom amount and you can type, I want to speed it up by 200% in that box. And again, they just have some filters if you want your videos to look a certain way and not mess with it yourself. Whoop. So those, one more thing, important. Let's say you want to kind of have some fun, maybe have 2 clips playing at once. Okay, so what I like to do, I'm going to use this clip as an example again. You're going to take a clip and you're going to put it over, notice how it went over the other clips, okay? I'm going to select that upper clip. And I'm going to go, it's going to bring up this new feature. It says Video Overlay Settings. And I use this a lot. I love this. The one I'm familiar with is split screen. So now notice my clip on the bottom and my clip on top is playing at the same time. This is great for engaging kids and thinking you're talking to yourself, or maybe you don't have enough people in your video and you need multiple helpers. I think it's great. Or maybe you're doing a morning meeting and you want to talk about the kids' favorite animals and you want to have a visual besides you of a giraffe. Well, instead of printing that out and wasting paper and taping it up on a wall and making this whole set, you could just plop in the picture right there, point to it while you talk and record. Another thing I'm really familiar with that I like is picture in a picture. I use this a lot if I'm teaching a lesson and I'm referencing, okay, at the end of this lesson, you will go to abcmouse.com, and I might put a picture of abcmouse.com in there so my directions are crystal clear to the students. And again with this, here's my second video or my picture, and I'm just dragging and dropping whatever I like. I can make it big, I can make it small, and it'll play within that. So that's kind of cool. The last thing I want to show you before I show you a complete lesson is something that's fun to do with younger kids. Is you can overlay, I don't know, let's just say GIF of puppy. You can overlay little moving images. Now I can put in, everyone loves a good GIF, I don't know how you describe it. There's a corgi. I have a corgi, so that's fun. You might want to put that in your video, or let's just say, if you want it to look like the image or the video is just floating,